Welcome to AAUW Auburn Conversation and Connection. My name is Sharon Watson Hamilton. We talk about AAUW, which stands for, what does it stand for? American Association of University Women. And we are a nonprofit organization that promotes education and equity for young women and girls and the whole world. And so I have to thank Phil, the producer of the show, from ACTV, which stands for Auburn Community Television, and these wonderful little vignettes and programs that he does. I also want to thank Susan Rushton, because she is the first one who gave us this idea, since she has her own little oleo show, and we thought, why not do a little show on AAUW and what we stand for, get our name out there a little bit more, and just promote ourselves too, because like any organization after COVID in particular, it's trying to get everybody back into the fold and join us and be part of our group. So I thank both Susan and Phil for that opportunity. Okay, so today, the end of June, it's not the end, June 8th actually, it's just a wonderful time to reflect on what the past year did. Our fiscal year is July 1 to July, and I brought with me today our president, Deb Sabo, and she is who I am going to converse with today about our club. So basically, Deb, I want to start with introducing you to the folks. And you are our president, and you also are president-elect for next year.
That's right.
So first question, let's just get into it. Tell me your story and how you got involved in AAUW Auburn.
Well, I did not know anything about AAUW Auburn until about 8 years ago. And I was doing volunteer taxes for senior citizens.
Oh, yes.
I had a good friend there who was an AAUW member. And I wanted to join a hiking group. So she said, well, you should contact these people. So I started with the hiking group. Okay. But as I learned what they did, I just thought, this is made for me. I am an electrical engineer, so the Tech Trek program.
Did you all hear that? Electrical engineer. Oh my gosh.
Right. And so the Tech Trek program, where we send girls to a STEM camp, really important to me. I'm a returning student, went back to school later in life. Mm-hmm. So the scholarship for returning students. So there was all these boxes that just got ticked for me.
Yeah.
So I joined, and I jumped in and have had a number of roles.
You have.
Treasurer.
Are we going to thank Karen for all that?
yeah. Karen Fleming.
Yes,
is the one that brought me in.
Yep.
So it has been marvelous. It's sort of been my savior in that we moved to Auburn about the same time. And I've just met all these wonderful women and people.
Oh, isn't that fun? It really is a connection. And, you know, to start out, like with the hiking group, we're not all serious, fundraising, hardworking. Sometimes we have book groups, we have hiking, we have drama. We have a lot of more social subsections. So that's kind of fun that you came in through hiking.
Yeah.
I love that. And then, of course, we slammed her with the treasure right away.
Always a hard job to fill.
It is. It is a difficult job to fill. And so that was fabulous. I think you were that for 3 years?
3 years.
Yeah.
Then I did the newsletter, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
That had a bit of creativity to it.
Yep.
And then I've been president last year and will be this
coming year.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a journey through all of this, and you know, speaks well of your energy. I don't know. Sometimes I worry about mine. But so again, what we want to talk about today is what we accomplished last year. It was a big year in that we came out of COVID, and there were a lot of things that we got going again. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you might have them in kind of a chronological order of of what we did accomplish last year. I don't know if they're totally in order, but we got back into meeting. We got away from Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm so happy that I became president in 2022, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the 2 years previous were really difficult. We did everything by Zoom. We didn't have meetings where we got together. We canceled our Trivia Bee, which is our big fundraiser.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. I know it was tough for everybody, but it was particularly tough for organizations that were used to getting together. So the first thing we did is we decided to have monthly meetings. In the past, we had about 4 meetings a year. And we just decided we needed that contact.
Yeah.
And I was a little nervous about it because at the time I didn't have program chair people who put it together.
Right. Well, Barbara had thought of this idea years ago, and it always fell by the wayside. But you took it and ran with that monthly idea,
and we needed to.
Yeah. And again, kudos to Barbara. She first, because we didn't have program people to put all that together, she went out and got the library.
That's right.
For every month up till December, because you couldn't go past that. But I mean, that kind of got the kickstart of that.
Yes. You and Barbara both. We sat down at the kitchen table, I remember, and we didn't have a program person who normally puts these meetings together. And we said, here's the speakers we're going to have. And so we set it up through the end of December, and then we got some program people who Carol Hoffmeister and Pam Hardy, who've both been on this show. Right. They just ran with it, and we had some great discussions and meetings and get-togethers. Yeah. And a lot of members came. I was surprised.
You know, I was a little hesitant at first because we didn't know. Again, poor COVID. He gets blamed for everything, but that's okay. You know, we weren't sure our people are going to come back in, because by that time we're used to meeting in our jammies and not leaving home, right? And one thing that you did that was great, we split the meetings up. Half were in the, like every other month was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the library beacher room, and then the other alternate month was in the evening, say 5 o'clock, and that worked well. If there were big events within a month, we didn't have that monthly meeting, but we had it on the third Monday, every other month, day and night. And so we could reach out to, I think, a bigger population.
Switching the time allowed us to also accommodate working women and men, and then also we have some people that prefer to come in the afternoon, so we kind of accommodated both times.
And I remember going to those meetings thinking, I don't know how many are going to show up, and they were always well attended. That really, and again, to the program people, they just had nice speakers and
good food.
If you have food, they'll come, and no expense. So you definitely are going to come when that. But no, it was fun, and we had. I'm trying to think back. One of our early speakers was on diversity.
That's right, Danielle Zimmerman, and that was really a great meeting.
It was. It was.
So we've had a number. We had a meeting on interest groups.
Yeah. That's right. Pam did that.
Yeah, we had a speaker that had done some work in all around the world, but Africa and the Philippines.
That's right.
That were to help women in those parts of the world. So we had some very good speakers.
Yeah, it was fun.
The other thing we did, which you put together, was called, it was a fundraiser, it was called the Scavenger Hunt, and we did it because we couldn't do COVID, and the Scavenger Hunt was outdoors, and we could sort of accommodate the COVID situation. That was in July of 2022. And everybody loved it. They've asked us to do it again, but Sharon put together clues and sent people out to businesses.
We had about 30 businesses between Old Town and downtown and in between. That was, I'll give credit to Susan Rushton. It was a cute little line. Old Town, downtown, and in between. And so businesses that participated had a little token. It might be a business card. It might be I think the visitor center gave out a little button that says "Buy Auburn" or
bookstore
something.
gave away some used books
and some bookmarks, and so wherever they went, they had a clue. They didn't know what business was what, and so then they had to figure out the clue, what the business was, and then go get their little token, and then we all met up back at the fairgrounds, right, for pizza. It was hot.
Yes, it was July.
It was July. But, you know, it wasn't bad. They had misters. Yeah. Everybody was happy. It was a real nice collaboration between the town of Auburn and us running around with orange bags. We had orange bags so they knew who we were.
People stopped and said, what are those? What are all these orange bags?
Right.
But it was our first fundraiser in 2 years, so we were really glad to get out and do that. So that was a big accomplishment. We did our normal scholarships, and when I say normal, you know, I always use this expression, scholarships are in our DNA.
Yeah.
And the reason is, you know, 1880, I think AAUW started. It was started by a group of women who wanted to make sure that women got upper education, college education.
Right, right.
And so that's what we've been about for
1880.
Over 100 years.
Yeah.
So we do scholarships. The thing we did different last year is we raised the bar, and we budgeted $20,000, which is the most we have ever budgeted.
Yep.
And we did it because there was a need.
Yep.
And we also added the transfer student scholarship, which I was excited about.
Me too.
I was a transfer student.
Yes, yeah.
And the return to school, which I was also a return to school student. Yeah. So we added those, which are a bit unique.
Yeah.
Most scholarships are for high school students.
And our high school girls are great too. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think all of that went so well this year. And okay, what else did we have?
Well, we did Tech Trek, and Tech Trek is a week of sending 12-year-olds to a science camp. That's we call it STEM, you know, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Right.
And the reason why this is important, in fact, I brought a little thing here that I like to use. 28% of STEM jobs have women in them. Only 28%. So our goal is to try to get more women and girls interested in going into STEM type jobs.
Yeah, kind of promote the parity of it.
Yes,
yeah.
And they're discouraged. I'm one of those girls that was discouraged. When I was in junior high, I was so good at math, but every year they would start me. There were different grades of math classes. They'd start me in the lower math class, and then two months in, they'd raise me to the higher math class. Then the next year, they'd start me in the lower math. That went on for 3 years.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Luckily, the math teachers said, "Yeah, she doesn't belong here. She belongs over here." But that's the kind of discouragement that some young girls see. Yeah. So we set up this camp. We send them for a week to UC Davis. This year we sent 7. And we got to send that many because it's hard to get a spot. They were going to give us 3. We got to send that many because so many of our AAUW Auburn folks volunteered to help.
Oh, I think that's delightful. That's kind of a joint. Now, you're talking about the ones coming up in July.
It's July.
Because there was also last July.
Well, yes, we did last July. And we also sent, I believe we sent 4 or 5 last year.
I want to say at least 5.
Well, and
but
then
maybe not.
During COVID, we did a virtual.
That's right, we did.
So the virtual was pretty cool. We had a high-tech company send a robot, a kit, to do robots. And the girls put them together with help on Zoom. And they loved it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that we did that. We're doing now this year both virtual and also sending them to camp. But sending them to camp, they stay in the dorms.
Yeah. Yeah.
They get to see other girls who are...
It's a good experience.
It's a great experience.
Yeah.
So we are sending 7 girls. It costs us $1,000 per girl. And they can only go if they're nominated by their science and math teacher.
Yeah.
So
it's a grand program, and I had Rachel on last month and talked a lot about it.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that was quite an accomplishment to get back into it last year and then carry it forward again.
So we will have, in fact, in June, in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be a dorm mom, which means I go for a week and stay in the dorms with the girls.
With the girls, yeah, fun.
And that's at Sonoma State. And then in July we do our Davis, which is where we send our Auburn girls to. So,
right. It's going to be fun. I mean, it's always delightful. And originally, when we started, I don't know how long, I was telling Rachel this last time, we started at Stanford.
Yes.
What an experience that was for the first few years. But then...
And a lot of years ago, too, Sharon.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many years ago.
I want to say it was 15 to 20 years ago.
Before.
And it was when it first started, Stanford was a big part of it because there was a big part of the push in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The other thing we did this year was new, and that was something called Speech Track.
Oh, yes.
And we were kind of a little bit last minute getting involved in it, but we had a member, Susan Ruffgarden.
Oh, she was
wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And she was going to do it no matter what it took.
Yep.
And sure enough, we got the group. So what Speech Track is, it kind of goes along with our goal of making certain that we get women prepared for leadership roles in government and in industry, and Speech Trek is part of that. So we have a contest. We had $1,000 in awards, and we had them come and give speeches to a large group. In fact, we had so many people. We were pulling chairs out of the wall.
And that was so fun. That was so fun to have their families join, the three young ladies that gave the speeches. And the way it worked, if I remember right, they had a topic. They had a topic. I can't quite remember. It had to do with equity
with
and
women. I want to say women voting.
Something with voting in there. You're right.
So I should have jotted it down.
Me too.
But it was a very interesting topic.
Yep.
And these are high school girls.
Yeah, they did a great job. Susan Ruffgarden did a great job. It really was another highlight.
It was a fun, productive day.
Yeah. And when we get to our goals in a minute, that'll come up again.
Yeah, and then so that. And I'm trying to think what other things we did. We always have our interest groups, but those were kind of the highlights. I think of the year.
I think so too. I think. And we had a lot of, I won't say a lot of new members, but we didn't lose very many members. We really kept our group going.
Yeah.
And so come on and join us, all of you. So that was mostly last year, and it was exciting, and it was a good year. So now looking forward, because July 1, she takes over as the new president, which is the same as the old president this time. But so what are your goals?
Just a little run on there.
Yeah.
Well, of course, as many of the same goals. We have our big fundraiser, which is Trivia Bee, and that takes a lot of energy. We start pretty early. We start in October, planning that, which is in March. So we'll do that. We'd like to do the scavenger hunt again.
Yes, we were prepared to do that again this July, and then we just. On the core group, there were just a lot of issues going on, and we decided to skip this year. And I know there's some disappointment in terms of the community, and we don't want to lose our identity with it. You know, anybody could roll with that idea, but it was just a better idea to skip this year.
We'll do it next year.
And because one of the reasons, not only some of the physicality challenges going on, but we did so well in the bee this year. This past March really will carry us forward.
Yes.
And unlike last year, the scavenger hunt kind of filled in because we did not have a trivia bee. This year, we had a great trivia bee, and so it was maybe something that we can do every other year kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we've sort of promised next year, so I'm hopeful that it will come together.
The people that participated loved it, and the businesses loved it. So it was kind of a win-win all the way around.
Right.
We'll do our scholarships again, and we're going to have a summer retreat with our new board.
Right.
And we'll talk about how much they would like to have budgeted.
Do you
for
have
next
a new
year.
theme or a theme that you're going to carry forward?
The theme is really the same, and I have to take a peek here because I always miss the first part of it.
I still stumble over American University.
Breaking barriers.
Breaking barriers.
For girls and women. And I sort of like that visual of, because that's really what we're all about. Mm-hmm. So we try to break either stereotype barriers or barriers that are there for a number of reasons.
Right.
And we give girls and women the tools to be able to really succeed.
You know, I think a lot of the battles in life are just having a hand to hold, and it brings you up to the level. They don't even have to be part of the picture. They just need to be there, and it brings all of your self-confidence and awareness up a level. So I think that's what our group does for a lot of people.
That's why I'm so passionate about doing what we do.
Yeah.
So we'll do scholarships, we'll do tech track, and then we'll do speech track for our second year.
Yes, and
we're going to do a new program, which will, I think, start early next year.
I think so too.
It's called GovTrek, and we haven't done it before, but Susan Ruffgarden again.
We love that woman.
She wants to do it, and so I made a little note here because it's new. I'm not real familiar with it. So we get high school girls again, and the final team project is to create a realistic campaign simulation.
Ooh, that's going to be fun for this year.
And it's going to be judged by industry judges, and then there's awards. So,
and it's a little different format. It's not in person like the speech track.
That's right.
This is kind of done through the state AAUW and online a lot.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a learning curve for many of us.
For us, yeah. Well, actually, they did GovTrek last year for the first time, and we didn't join it.
Right.
We did the speech track, but we're going to do both next year.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be exciting. And again, I can't say enough good things about Susan Ruffgarden. She's just a passion.
She takes charge.
Yeah, she's very, very thoughtful, very conscientious and passionate about that. In fact, all our leaders and people I've had on the show, between Susan Ruffgarden and Brandy and Rachel with scholarship and tech track. Yeah, I mean, it's just. You need that passion to hold the organization accountable for that. Yeah. And
the other thing we'll continue doing is our monthly meetings. That was really well received.
Good.
So that's kind of what we're looking at next year.
I'm
excited. We have a really great board.
Yeah.
Our exiting board was phenomenal. I felt so privileged and lucky to have such a good board, because any time I brought something up that I thought maybe we should think about or do, everybody was on board and everybody volunteered.
Yeah.
And this year we have an equally wonderful board.
I think it's going to be a great year. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. Now, let's talk about how can people join us. And let me briefly, we sound like we're women only and 4-year degree, but it's much more inclusive. It includes a 2-year certificate as well, degree, I think. And so you don't have to have a 4-year degree. And we have men that are members, and they support us and are great. We like to have a mixed group if we can. So I look forward to that. And our inclusion, that's a word kind of passed around, and I'm not always sure I can define it as well as some of our members, but we're reaching out to our Latino community in Auburn. Auburn isn't quite as eclectic as some communities, but we do have a Latino presence that we can kind of encourage to join us and be part of our journey.
Yeah, I should mention that this year was the first year we had a chairperson who was in charge of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And a lot of people kind of shook their head like, okay, we look around Auburn, but there are all kinds of definitions of diversity and equality and inclusion. Yeah. So what we'd like to do, and our goal is to make sure we're reaching out to any of our underprivileged groups in Auburn, and making sure they know about our scholarships, and they know about our tech track, and they know about speech track, and try to make sure that we are reaching out and bringing them in.
You know, and it's true, we do carry through on a lot of these young ladies, and maybe they were in Tech Trek or at least knew about us, and then we kind of get them involved in something else. Or for a while, the Trivia Bee, when I was a little more part of it, we would have Tech Trek girls work it, like clean plates or dishes or help decorate.
Great idea.
And so it kind of kept them in with us and carried them forward. So,
well, we just had a meeting. You might want to talk about our scholarship meeting. And there at the meeting, we had, it was for scholarships, but we had a previous Tech Trek woman there, a girl there, and we also had a scholarship recipient who was working at the site, and helping us, set up tables there, and she spoke to the group.
She did, and that was kind of a dynamic of the evening, to have this. We're walking in and having things. It was a potluck, but we had a server and a person guiding us through this whole process and her name was Autumn. And during the talk, Brandy said, "Well, is there any Tech Trekkers?" And that's when we had the young lady that had
we
been
had a speech trek.
Yes, and we did, and it was just phenomenal. And then this little Autumn, who was helping set up, actually knew all about us. She had applied for this, that, and the other thing, and got turned down, or she couldn't go to school. She had this delightful story, just delightful, and she was so appreciative of us. And that
we had given her a scholarship during COVID, and then she couldn't go to school.
That was it.
And we held it. We held it for her.
Yes. Yeah. That was just a sweet.
And now she's going to UC Berkeley.
I know, she's a sweet, sweet story. So it makes everybody a win-win on what we do, and so you can join us. But let me give you a website: auburn-ca.aauw.net. It doesn't trickle off the tongue. That's why I have to look it up each time. But we would love for you to go to that site. That's our Auburn site, and you can see this program on there. You can see our upcoming meetings. You can read a little bit more about us, and you can pay through PayPal if you choose to fill out a form right then, or you can call one of us, and I think there's phone numbers on there. So do reach out. I know in the past, sometimes getting a hold of us has been a roadblock for for people, and it would be for me too. I'm not a techie person, so I would have to run into somebody like both of us did to join, and
it's a well-kept secret.
Sometimes it feels that way.
But once people find out about us, that if you have those passions, it's just a beautiful organization.
It really is. Okay, I am going to start to say goodbye. I appreciate you for coming.
Me.
Yeah, it was fun. It's always fun to converse with each other and get a little closer to members as we know it. We're going to take next month off. We'll be back. I'm hoping in the next few times it'll be a lighter show. It won't be so much goal oriented, and it'll be more like our sections, what we do for book group. I know book group is the reason I joined. I wanted to join a book group 25 years ago, and so I think that's going to be what my future talks will be about. In the meantime, be good to each other, take good care, and I think that'll be a great show, and I wish everybody a happy summer. So thank you.